Coming up next is the newest edition of Thrills and Spills from the NHRA. Prepare yourself to be dazzled with huge explosions, 300-mile-an-hour crashes, and some of the most dramatic races in recent memory. All coming your way next.
Well, Toyota has just made some history.
Man, you gotta love it.
And hello, history book. Win number 14 is in the record book. And Andrew Hines has his first ever national event win.
This is awesome.
Oh, this is just too awesome.
I'm telling you, we're gonna have a party tonight.
Oh! For Gary Dencham, but he has finally done it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the NHRA's Thrills and Spills. In the next half hour, we'll take you inside the sport of drag racing and get first-hand accounts of being in a funny car fire or unexpectedly flying through the air and the feeling of getting that first win. Thanks for joining us. I'm Bill Stevens. Top Fuel driver Tony Schumacher has been in two of the most spectacular crashes in recent drag racing memory. Both incidents took place at Memphis Motorsports Park, one in 2000 and the other in 2003. Here's Tony Schumacher to describe what those two accidents were like from the driver's seat.
That is an extreme crash. When you look at the roll cage taking those hits, you see crashes and you see people hit the wall. And when the car turns and you're expecting, okay, I'm going to hit the wall, to go right over it, man, that's something nobody expects. I mean, that was a hard hit. I remember a lot of violence. I remember it being loud and just kind of a ruthless bunch of hits. But that's it. I woke up. The guys got to the scene. As my team pulled up there, I remember saying, hey, man, I'm sorry I broke the car. I really had no idea what had happened. Nowadays, parachutes both come out. It would not have gotten over that wall. It would have been a horrendous crash, but it would have kept it inside the containment of the walls. So as you watch this, as it's coming towards you here, you see the wing leave, both parachutes would be out. And look how long it takes me to get the chutes out. I knew I was in trouble, so they start to come out. But by then it was too late. If they could have come out at the same time as the wing came off, I would have gotten over the wall. If you look at the car moving around left, right, what's happening there, we were missing a K member. The K member's in the car and it keeps the car from swaying. It keeps the top frame rails and the bottom frame rails aligned. It snapped in half and I heard it pop. And it was an extremely strange feeling because I was wide awake through this one. As it broke, I thought I was doing what we know as a top fuel blowover. The front end started to come up and I noticed along the way, and it's awful quick and awful fast, but I noticed to myself, I don't have front wheels, so this may be doing a blowover, because as you start to go up like that, I thought I was just doing a blowover. And if you watch this thing, you're flying at the finish line 2 football fields a second. Whether you're on the ground running 330 miles an hour or you're in the air flying over the scoreboards, you're still doing it at 2 football fields a second, which is a quite impressive number. It's a whole lot more fun when you're buckled down and you're on a great run. But all in all, wasn't that bad. Car broke in half. It looks terrible on TV, but when you're in the car, it's so fast. The scariest part about that crash right there is the run after. It's not that run, because that run there, you're buckled up and you're just going for a ride. It's the next run when you get to the finish line and you're wondering, is this thing going to break in half again? That's where this sport gets intense.
Crashes and explosions are the downside of racing, but on the positive side is the thrill of victory. It's knowing all the long hours, passion, and dedication paid off. It's accomplishing the one and only goal in any form of racing, to win. In 2004, 7 drivers in the NHRA got their first taste of victory.
And the advantage on the starting line to Tonglin. But the win light to Andrew Hines, and listen to the crowd. And Andrew Hines has his first ever national event win.
Man, this is great. I feel like I want to cry.
Antron's first off this time. But the win light goes to Karen. 7.15 seconds, 186 miles an hour. She becomes the second winner as a female in Pro Stock Bike, the 7th overall in the professional category.
My mom and dad at home, we did it. I wish you were here. Oh, this is just too awesome. I didn't know I won. I actually looked at Antron and he's going, you.
Unreal performance for Jason Line.
Oh, I was just trying not to screw up, that's all. Somehow the driver didn't mess it up too bad.
Big advantage for Johnson off the line. The wind light and the drought is over in a hole shot.
Get away, get away! This is mine! I've got... Oh, 18 years is all! Oh my God, we won! We won a race! I saw that little light come on, I'm like, that means we won!
Big advantage, Scelzi. But he's up in smoke. And Eric Medlin has his first win as a professional. Look at Dad. He is loving life.
I don't even know what to say. You better got a lot of tape because I got a lot of words. Hey, America, dreams can come true. Don't ever stop dreaming. I'd like to thank my dad. He's the one that got me here. Got to say hi to Mom. I got so many people to thank and say hi to.
One more thing, Eric.
Anderson first off the line. The win light, though, to Dave Conley. And Dave Conley, the 50th different winner in Pro Stock Car history.
I'm just glad to do it for all these great fans. I lost my voice. I was screaming all the way through there.
Advantage on gel. Will it be enough? The answer is no. Chip Ellis.
I'll tell you, man, it's emotional. I've never seen so many people taking pictures of me in all my life. I wish y'all could see this. This is great.
When an engine makes 8,000 horsepower, catapulting the vehicles at 330 miles per hour down the track, the results can be volatile. Engine explosions are one of the most dramatic and dangerous occurrences in drag racing. What's it like to literally have a bomb go off right in front of you? Well, let's find out from some funny car drivers.
There's such a huge explosion that happened so quick that you just didn't have time to think about anything. You just reacted. So at first I thought maybe my legs were blown off. I didn't know how bad I was hurt. I was trying to get the car stopped. It's just something that you don't want any person to ever go through.
Oh, huge explosion for Caps.
You start running through your head of everything that could go wrong, start shutting off, but there's nothing you can do. I'm trapped in there. I'm going still pretty fast. I have no control, no steering, I can't see, and I know I'm going to hit something pretty soon, pretty hard.
The car went out, stripped the tires, I pedaled it. The race with Tommy Johnson, so it was in elimination, so definitely was going to try and make it to the end of the run. And right as I'm coming into speed traps, the car just exploded, you know, like something I hadn't felt in years and years, and I saw a big flash of fire, and I felt parts just ramming into my hands. I'm like, man, what is going on? I haven't had parts hit me like that in a long time, and I was just thinking, man, it's never going to stop. And when the parts finally did stop hitting me, and the car came to what I thought was a stop, I really couldn't see. I was glad.
Oh, huge explosion for Frank. Hang on.
As I was pedaling the car, I got in and out of it a few times, and already in the back of your mind, you know that, I'm looking for trouble if I keep pedaling. So after I got out of it and into it the last time, I just remember seeing a big ball of fire, and next thing you know, I see a dash in front of me, and I thought, you know what, I seriously thought, oh man, this is it. The car got out of the groove over towards the wall, and I was trying to bring it back to the middle of the racetrack, and it wasn't coming back. So I actually pedaled the car, got off the gas, back on the throttle, and when I did, it misfired or something happened big, and the next thing you know, I was a loud boom concussion, and I was covered in orange, which was flame. One thing about driving a race car, when you have an accident, it happens so fast that you don't have time to be scared. It just happens, you go through your natural reactions, and it's over.
After every explosion and after every crash, something is learned. The NHRA and the teams find out what happened and implement different devices to improve the safety of the cars. Here's Parker Johnstone and Mike Dunn to explain some recent safety innovations in drag racing.
Well, Mike and I have crashed and burned more than a few times during our professional driving careers, but Mike, it's not about us all the time. Let's talk a little bit about the safety innovations in funny car bodywork.
Well, Parker, let's start out with the front of the body. We have the burst panel here, and what this is designed to do in the event of a supercharger explosion, all that pressure will be relieved when this blows off, thus preventing the body from splitting in half and the pieces flying in the air. Also, you see back here, we have the holes in the side windows. Now, this is basically for the safety safari in the event of a fire, can get the hose down in there and keep the driver cool until he is able to get out of the car. the roof hatch. Now this is where the driver does escape from the car. Once he gets this thing stopped, he's going to pop this open and get out of the car as quickly as he can.
Let's have a look at the chromoly tube frame chassis. A number of innovations have also occurred during the course of the years. Mike, especially in the driver's cockpit area.
Well, one of the things I like, Parker, that has been developed in the last year or two is the actual roll bar padding here. Now this helps in the event the driver hits the wall, his head won't hit that roll cage and possibly knock him out. The other thing that I like is this fresh air system that I didn't have when I drove back in 1991. This allows fresh air into the driver's helmet so he's not breathing that toxic air and smoke from the fire.
Talked about the body, the chassis. What about the engine?
Well, we have ballistic blankets underneath on the bottom for the engine, also top on the supercharger to contain those parts in the event of an explosion. Also burst panels on the manifold, which work basically the same way as on the body. That will relieve the pressure in the event of a supercharger backfire, thus not splitting the manifold and obviously keeping the parts and pieces more contained.
There's the driver's safety equipment. Now, I'm familiar with all this equipment. I wore something very similar during my IndyCar career, but in drag racing, there's just more of it.
Well, Parker, you know, you drove one of those sissy Indy cars. You know, the motor was in back. Right here, you got 8,000 horsepower sitting in front of you that is very volatile, as we've seen. So obviously, you need a lot of protection. Super thick, heavy-duty fire suit, underwear. You have the heavy boots that go over the driving boots. 2 pairs of gloves because you want that protection, because in the event of a fire, you're in there getting the handles shut and the fuel shut off, getting the fire bottles. They're the most likely thing to get burnt. Also, the Hans device in the event you hit the wall to keep help protect the neck.
And as a result of all the safety equipment, drag racing one of the safest motorsports in the world, especially considering they go over 300 miles per hour. For more thrills and spills, stay tuned.
When we come back on NHRA Thrills and Spills, we'll introduce an extreme slow motion camera that you won't be able to take your eyes off. And have you ever wondered what it's like to be in a funny car fire? Find out next. Welcome back to NHRA Thrills and Spills. New innovations in television allow us to see things we've never seen before. Recently, a new extreme slow-motion camera was introduced. It shoots the cars between 500 and 1,000 frames per second, compared to a normal camera, which shoots at 30 frames per second. Check out some extreme slow-mo analysis from our NHRA expert, Mike Dunn.
Some people think you don't do a whole lot because you're going in a straight line, but look what happens. You're going 200 miles per hour, spinning the tires. He gets out of the throttle, gets back on. The car's pointed towards the center line. Now it's going to basically arc up as he tries to get that thing back towards the middle of the groove. It's got a cylinder out over here which tries to push it towards the center line, so he's got full lock to the left, trying to get that thing back in line to try to get that round win, but unfortunately was unable to. Look at the flash we're going to see from Clay Millikas. Now what's happening there is basically there's going to be a head gasket coming out of the front of that engine, and you're going to see when that thing fires, what happens is the gasket between the cylinder head and the engine block has basically broken. It's allowing that fuel and air to fire outside of the block. The car can still go down the racetrack, but it's going to lose some horsepower. That is just a great shot, because normally you don't see it, but it fires individually, whether it's the 1 or 2 cylinders where that head gasket's actually pushed out. Great job there.
Let's take a look at some more extreme mo in Top Fuel and watch the blower belt.
Yeah, right here. You wonder why these things come off every once in a while. Look at the load that belt is under. You can actually even see the blower drive. Look like it's even actually rocking just a little bit. Tremendous amount of pressure on that. Remember, it takes between 800 and 1,000 horsepower to turn that supercharger over. So tremendous amount of strain and pressure on that blower belt.
Here is Doug Herbert, and again, look at how Herbert's head's getting pinned back at the acceleration, and then you'll see again the belt coming into view as the body panels just continue to vibrate as well.
Tremendous amount of forces involved here. You got to remember, I mean, it's close to 8,000 horsepower, taking a car that weighs over 2,000 pounds and accelerating that thing down the quarter mile in over 330 miles per hour in like 4.5 seconds. Takes a lot of horsepower.
Watch the blower belt.
Yeah, you can see all the cylinders that are out because the things spin the tires, and then look what happens to the blower belt. As that engine is not happy at that point, the blower belt is taking all the abuse, and look at that thing just fly apart.
Wow, that's definitely some cool stuff. You know, in the final race of the 2004 season, rookie driver Eric Medlin experienced his first big funny car fire. In this installment of the Eric Medlin Diary, He tells us what it's like to drive a car engulfed in flames.
Hi everybody, it's the red hot Eric Medlin here at Pomona. This week on the Medlin Diaries, I'd like to talk about funny car fires. Well, it finally happened. I've had a few small ones over the years, but we finally had our big funny car fire. At about 300 feet, you see a couple sparks come in. Well, you're not going to get low ET by shutting it off. And I thought, well, maybe it's just something out of the ordinary, so keep driving it. Right after that, there's more sparks, so shut it off. Now all of a sudden, there's big fire everywhere. You got to hit those fire bottles. I was going to get on the chutes, but it wasn't really going that fast, and I figured I'd rather use the brake to stop it than put my hand up and get off the brake and get on the chutes and then waste that time for stopping. You know, it's kind of a big deal from the outside to inside. Just get that mother stopped and get out and plug old AAA for the insurance that's going to pay for this Syntec Mustang.
Next on Thrills and Spills from the NHRA, a pedal fest is one of the most exciting races on a drag strip, and we'll tell you why. And we'll go inside the action as the John Force Racing team is down for the count. But they get an unexpected result.
There is miracles in America. Amazing.
Welcome back to NHRA Thrills and Spills. The goal in racing is to win, and the first car to the finish line is the winner. In drag racing, the quarter mile is covered in less than 5 seconds at over 330 miles per hour. But not every run goes as planned. When a car loses traction, the tires spin rapidly, producing tire smoke. A driver can get the car to recover from the tire smoke by getting off and on the throttle or pedaling. When both cars on the track go into tire smoke, the race becomes a pedal fest. In other words, whoever can get their car to recover first will win the race.
The first thing is that you have to do everything that you can do to get the car to the finish line as quickly as possible.
You have to judge your speed, and then you have to roll into the throttle accordingly. It all is different, and that's what's neat about it.
There's not a whole lot of time, so in your mind it's thinking, man, go, 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 we gotta get there, we gotta get there. Well, your foot needs to slow down.
Stay in your lane and keep your car under control, of course, and not cause any harm or anything to the car and or your opponent.
Uh-oh, pedal job. This is where the experience counts.
When you're racing against a guy like Bazemore, I mean, he's one of the best pedalers out there, so unfortunately both of our cars kind of smoked the tires at the same time.
We went out and smoked them almost immediately, and we had to, and he did immediately, so he was way out in front.
The only thing you can do if you don't use the brake is just try to ease back into it, but when you're dealing with 8,000 horsepower, easing back into it is a little bit easier said than done. And we did it, and we almost beat him, but almost doesn't count in drag racing.
We got off the throttle, actually pulled the brake a little bit to slow down the tires, and then got back on the throttle, and about that time he started smoking the tires, and we recovered.
Uh-oh, pedal job. Man, it's a pair of bucket Broncos.
Bristol was actually a race that the car wasn't set up properly, so I wasn't really able to recover the car, gather it up, as they say, and I didn't think I did a very good job.
That was the most pedaling that I've ever done in any single run. I think I was on and off the throttle about 7 or 8 times.
Really, I was at the mercy of the car. I had no throttle travel. It was just like wide open or nothing, and so it was like being on ice.
Both of us were on and off the throttle several times and smoking the tires, lifting the front end in the air. From a driver's point of view, that's both scary and exhilarating.
Let's stick with the funny car class and focus on 13-time champion John Force. At the Spring Chicago race in 2004, Force won round 1 and headed back to the pits to get the car ready for the second round. The Top Fuel and Funny Car teams completely disassembled the engine and clutch components on the race car between every round. The teams are allowed a little over an hour for the turnaround, but normally the process of replacing the old parts with the new parts takes 30 to 40 minutes, unless there's a problem. Take a look.
Well, we have got some drama building back in the pits involving John Force's team. They are thrashing like crazy. They went to do the warm-up, and they are in trouble. And their next round is against their former teammate, Tony Pedregon. There is John getting the warm-up ready, and nope, it didn't go. Dave, what's going on?
Marty started on alcohol, ran for about 5 seconds, maybe 6-7 seconds. Big cough, shut immediately off. They obviously have a deeper problem.
Wow.
I'll try to sneak around and get a quick word with John if I can. John popping out of the race car right now, still has the gas mask on. John, can you even speak to the frustration?
Yeah, I'm praying for rain. Got a motor malfunction here, they'll find it. just we're out of time. And I want that shot at Tony, but can't do it without fixing it. But we'll see. I got 2 other Fords in.
Well, the Castrol GTX Mustang is pulling into the lanes. Well, we're going to find out if John can get the car fired. Run on alcohol right now. They haven't turned the fuel on yet. Still run on alcohol. Austin Coyle squirting it in there. Now they bring the fuel on. Hello, boys. Oh, it doesn't sound all that great, though. Here we go. Oh, and Tony crosses the center line. And John Force lives to fight another day. Exactly what Force's team needed to happen. Something to go wrong with Tony Pedregon's car.
It was dead in the pits. It was over. I was praying to God for rain. Not that he'd listen to me. I'm so screwed up. And then we said, do it. We fired it, and I couldn't believe it fired. They pulled the wire off the mag switch, and she left. But she was not tuned. There was no clutch. Coyle said, you want to shut her off? I said, no. Let's just see if he'll screw up. That's our only hope. And the old heat, she left. She went about 100 feet. Wasn't going nowhere, so I said, it's over. I stepped off the gas, and all this plastic's flying at me. There's miracles in America.
Stick around. You'll hear from Gary Scelzi about this unbelievable top fuel crash. Up next on NHRA Thrills and Spills. We're back with NHRA Thrills and Spills. In 2001, 3-time Top Fuel champion Gary Scelzi experienced his worst crash in drag racing. His car did something we don't normally see. It collected the car in the other lane. Scelzi emerged unhurt, but the other driver, John Smith, suffered a broken leg. Here are the details of the crash from Gary Scelzi's point of view.
The car was running really well at that time, and all of a sudden a giant explosion with no warning. And it was to the point where you're on the racetrack about 300 to 400 feet to where you're in the comfort zone. Normally you're past the shake area and all the things you're going to have problems at. The car just accelerates and then the run's over. Huge explosion, the car broke in half, and the next thing you know I was tumbling through the air. I saw sky, I saw pavement, I saw white of the wall. A lot of twisting, flipping, couldn't focus on anything. And then I was being drugged by a parachute. When the car finally flipped up behind John Smith, I heard someone say he ran into you, and I said, oh, that's what happened. John must have ran into me. So I looked down, make sure that all my body parts were there. I got out of the car and everybody was over at John's car. And I thought, God, his car is complete and together. Why aren't they coming over here to me? There's nothing left of my car. I had no idea that the engine came out of my car, rolled down the top of his car, broke his wrist, broke his arm, messed his legs up. And that was the final straw that broke the camel's back after the 3rd accident in Top Fuel that I said, I'm going funny car racing. Unlike the other accidents, I couldn't focus on anything because the car kept twisting, fumbling, and flying and bouncing, and I couldn't focus on anything, so I wasn't really sure what was happening. I knew I was in an accident, but I didn't know what caused it. I didn't know where I was at. I never lost consciousness, but I just didn't know what had happened until I stopped, and then everybody told me what had happened. And when I saw it on TV, it was pretty devastating.
Well, that does it for another exciting edition of NHRA Thrills and Spills. We hope you enjoyed it. I'm Bill Stevens, and we'll see you at the track. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.